So I guess the whole point of a life simulation game is that it's supposed to simulate real life. Real humans have penises and vaginas. I know, shock horror. Never would have thought. So apparently Life by You's creator Rod Humble had an interview with PC Gamer about the game. As I've said before, I do think Life by You looks very, very different to The Sims, and both games are allowed to exist side by side, and we don't always need to make direct comparisons. But Life by You seems to be taking life simulation into much more mature hands. So apparently Life by You also includes nudity for players who turn off censorship shaders. And although won't feature explicit sex scenes, blah 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 blah, Life by You is specifically designed to make adult mods possible. Apparently Life by You also did an interview with Axios, stating the game will be sex positive, we're a European company, our hang-ups are all around violence, this game's got no violence but does come with nudity. I mean, to be fair, like, how many people who play The Sims use wicked whims? Like, let's be honest. I do think it's interesting because The Sims is mostly a family-friendly game. Well, it didn't start off family-friendly, but it started going down more of a family-friendly route, I guess, to make it more universal. But apparently Life by You says, nope, we're having dicks hanging about. Apparently, by default, all of the settings for gender, skin tones, and sexual preferences are set by the creator. But when you create your game, you can change those in any way you want by percentages. So if you're like, hey, I want to make a world where it's full of people who just want to fall in love with me and I'm the only sexual interest in the world, you can do that. Oh my God, I can create a world where finally I don't get ghosted. A far cry from the real world. I did get ghosted and or stood up on dates maybe about 10 or so times last year. Like, it was a little bit traumatic for me. Luckily, I don't have to relive that trauma, at least when this comes out. I actually quite like the idea of percentages and being able to decide, seeming that it is a life by you as a person. I don't know if that means like sexual preferences are determined, so like, you know, 20% of them are gay, 80% are straight or something, or you create a world where you can set a percentage, so 90% of the people are female and 10% are male. Like, how's that gonna work? That sounds like absolute chaos, actually. I quite like that if that was a real thing. It says in regards to gender, I think there's a whole generation of people who are sick of gender roles being shoved down their face, and so we're like, hey, you got to define it in any way you want. We hope people will like that. Regarding skin tones, towns default to an Olympic village, an even mix, but again, players can decide for themselves who inhabits their city. If you live in Brazil and you're like, well, I don't look like this in Brazil, just go ahead and change that spread, you've got it. You can do that with age as well, and as I said, gender. And so by doing that, we want people to be able to make places that look like where they live, that resonates with them, as opposed to Northern California, which is what we'll naturally make. Let's be honest, if any of you own The Sims 4 Snowy Escape, like, as soon as you install that pack in the game, like, every single Sims 4 townie is Japanese for absolutely no reason in every single world. And a lot of people are too afraid to come out and say it's not representative and it's not natural because they're scared of coming off as a xenophobe, even though they're not, because people are a little bit sensitive and woke. And it's not like that. It's not like it's coming out of a place of hatred. It's just coming out of a place of like having, you know, a geographical region that's naturally representative of maybe where you live. And I think that's a really cool idea. I don't think diversity and inclusivity means that you must have one of everything in every single space, because it's not always relevant. You know, I love the idea of maybe like making an Italian inspired world or something where everyone's Italian and everyone's drinking an Aperol Spritz. That'll be me in a few months when I go to Italy. Like, they're nice little things I like. Or you could make a world that's inspired by Japan if you want to. I actually love it because it means that there are so many different combinations and options and possibilities. I think it's really creative and I like it. Another thing that's really interesting is they're apparently saying no to telemetry. What is telemetry, you ask? Telemetry is basically data collection. So on The Sims Twitter, they recently said, woohoo, 8.6 million infants have been created. How do they know that 8.6 million infants have been created by Sims players? It's through data collection telemetry. They collect data as you play the game and they upload that. Oh, on the subject of dicks flapping about, we've got the phallic microphone flapping about. But it's basically a form of data collection. A lot of video games, as you play the game, they collect data from you and then they send it back to the video game developer and they use that data to maybe improve the game or something else. Apparently, there is no in-game telemetry gathering data that could, for example, go to a hostile government. I mean, I can't ever imagine that situation really happening. It's never like happened with The Sims. Sims. Like, I don't see why it would happen with Life by You or any other game. But I think in a world where everyone's collecting everyone's data about everything all the time, I guess it's nice to have a bit of anonymity, especially, you know, a lot of people who play The Sims, for example, are psychopaths. Like, we do crazy things. So I can be a secret psychopath. But I guess it's a good thing. I don't know. I don't really want to make this video political, but like in some countries, being gay is illegal. If the game doesn't collect data on what you do, if you do gay things in the game, that's a very good thing. Another thing, I guess, mature, not really mature. The residents speak real languages, apparently not gibberish. And we did see that in the trailers that they had English dialogue options. I guess it is a lot more mature, you know, in The Sims when they do all that gobbledygook Simblish, like it is a little bit childish. Not in a bad way, like I like it, it's iconic. But it just goes to show like how much of a different path it's going down, and I do really like it. Just having them being able to speak the same language as you can definitely add a lot of realism and definitely add a lot of immersion. We do know that the game is going to come with some kind of social scenario story editing thing. We don't really know what it is. I have absolutely no idea. But obviously speaking a real language is integral to that. And you can actually know like what the characters are talking about. Their conversations could feel more real, and I think it could create a lot of interesting situations, especially with modding, not just modding, but, you know, creating things and sharing them with other people. I think it will lead to a lot of crazy situations. I'm excited for all the crazy mods. On the subject of that, apparently, if you want to make an expansion pack that's better than ours, go for it. The game is yours and you don't need to ask anybody's permission to stream it, to do whatever it is you want with your creations. And that's the way our business model is. We want to sell a life simulator that I think the community has been asking for a long time. It's theirs and we just want to pass it on to them. Again, like, I'm not a modder. What does that mean? No idea. Do you know what? I kind of see this with City Skylines, which is also by Paradox. Like, City Skylines, they have a lot of DLC. For example, you can buy custom map packs, but you can also get them for free. You can choose whether you want to go through the official route of getting a custom map that's bought and put into your game, or you can download a custom modded one off the workshop. And when I say modded, it's not like modded as in, you know, a mod that breaks every time there's a new game update. Like, it genuinely just works all the time. It never breaks, and they look very official. A lot of their actual official DLC is made by modders who they've, you know, employed to make map packs or assets or something to bring into the game officially. So I'm guessing it might work similar to that, in which you have the choice either way. I do think moddable games like always do the best. Any extremely popular game, like, it's always a proper moddable game. And although they've said that the game won't have any violence, I guarantee you somebody's gonna make a horrific mod. They're gonna turn it into GTA or something. I just know it. I mean, if they make like a GTA mod for it, like, I'm all here for it. But a really big thing I'm so excited about, if you've seen my videos before, you know one thing I've complained about The Sims 4 for a very long time, or The Sims in general, is that it's imaginary, play pretend. You know, if you do the rags to riches challenge, you've got to cheat your money to zero and pretend you're doing the challenge. If you want to do the 100 baby challenge, it's not like an official challenge. You're pretending it's a real challenge in the game, but really you're just making it up and you're pretending. Life by You will apparently have script mods. Again, like, I'm not a mod, I don't know what that means, but it's basically a way of like officially integrating challenges or like quest things in the game. According to this article, create and share custom quests which formalize the informal challenges among popular Sims 4 streamers. Humble's example tries to have 100 babies. That is honestly the thing I'm most excited for. As a gameplay person, I'm shy at building, I'm shy at creating characters and worlds, I'm terrible at it, but I love the gameplay. And I do love sandbox games and I love sandbox modes, but sometimes like you need somebody to push you in a path. You need limits. I like working in a limited space. I find that I'm more creative when I have a box. When you have like too much choice, when you have infinite choice, you don't know what to choose. But when you can only choose from like one of three things, you do know what to choose. Having limits is definitely a good thing. And I think it could steer you in a cool direction. So having custom quests, that sounds like a good idea. I just feel like the game is made for everyone and that's how I like it. I don't feel like anybody's trying to push any kind of values on me with the game. I don't feel like, I mean, it hasn't been released yet, I have no idea, but I don't feel like anyone's going to be pushing any values on me. Anyone's going to push me to play in a certain way or do certain things. I feel like it's very open and I feel like it's very diverse and you can basically play it in any way. I guess the name of the game is called Life by You, so it's what you choose to do, and I really like that. It leads to literally endless possibilities. Oh my god, this sounds like an ad. It's not an ad. I mean, for all we know, it could release terribly. It could be really glitchy and buggy and full of shit. Who knows? Could be wasting my time. But seriously, I feel like a lot of effort is going into making it for the players. And that is why I'm incredibly excited, guys. I know a lot of people, though, have shared concerns about hardware requirements. Apparently, they recommend minimum 16 gigabytes of RAM. For those of you who are not PC people, like a lot of smaller laptops and casual laptops generally have about 8 gigabytes of RAM, maybe. They also want you to have a dedicated graphics card. You know, The Sims doesn't need a dedicated graphics card, by the way. That's why you can play it on just a crappy old laptop. It seems like this is a game that you're going to need like either a gaming laptop or an actual PC to play. So we don't know how accessible the game is going to be. We're going to have to wait and see. I feel like more and more people these days are getting nice PCs or at least nice gaming laptops, especially during the pandemic when everybody was bored and everybody brought like a PC setup and a streaming setup. Like a lot of people are set up for it now. So hopefully it won't be too big of an issue and hopefully everybody can play it who wants to play it. The game, I doubt, is coming on console ever with that kind of level of customization. Maybe they'll port it, who knows, but it seems like predominantly a PC experience. I know a lot of people have shared concerns about the graphics as well. I'll be honest, I think the characters, they look a bit weird. They look greasy, like the hair and stuff, like it looks like they've been covered in a bit of Vaseline. Also, I'm not too sure how I feel about the ray tracing and what that basically means. If you don't know, is the shadows and lighting. I don't know how I feel about the lighting in the game. It does seem very contrasty and overbearing. I think if the game launched with that, like I'd have to turn it off in the settings. It's not even in pre-release yet, so like we can't hold it up to too high standards because it literally hasn't even been built properly yet. Even during early access as well, they're probably going to change it up a little bit too then. So I think it's too early to like give like a proper opinion on the game, but for what it's worth, guys, it's looking really nice so far. I did a little breakdown of all the things that you may have missed in the Life by You trailer, so you may want to check that video out for some more information. Otherwise, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.